NP TV. News you can trust.
Have you got anything to say, Nick?
Yeah, we've had the prosecution case this morning, which I think is even more threadbare than last time around. That's it. They've just shown Mark's speech is one of mine, and that's it. So on Monday we start with Mark's defence, Tuesday my defence. I think it'll all be over pretty much by Wednesday with the summings up. Obviously you can't tell what's in the minds of the jury, but the prosecution case, they've changed their angle now. In January, the prosecution were trying to imply that really any criticism of the multicultural society implies that you're either criminal or insane, and they're now saying that everyone's criticising the multicultural society. It's just that Nick Griffin and Mark Collett went a bit further than they should have done. I don't believe we went further than we should have done. We said 2 years ago that multiculturalism isn't working. I predicted bombings in London by terrorist suicide bombers. These things have happened. We also, most importantly, I'm up there for talking about the endemic problem of the grooming of young white girls in Yorkshire, and also Sikh and Hindu girls in other parts of the country by young gangs of Muslims. I'm primarily in court for daring to talk about that. That's still the last taboo. The politicians are talking about the veil, they're talking about Islamic terrorism, they're talking about the problems of Islam itself, but they're still not talking about the grooming of white girls for sex by gangs of young Muslims, and they should be. And if I've got to go to prison to get that out into the open, then I'll go to prison.
Would you, if you could have your time again, would you change any of your words? Say things differently?
The only thing I'd say is that in my speech I said that this grooming and drug raping that was going on was the way in which Muslims want to take over countries. I should have said it's one of the ways, because I should also have talked about the way they beat up young men in towns like Leeds and Keighley and Bradford, and again about the way the police won't do anything about it and the media all too often cover it up. There's many, many ways which Islam is a menace to this country, not just the grooming of white girls.
And how do you feel to be standing in the dock for what you said?
I think it's absolutely disgraceful. My grandfather fought in the trenches for 4 years in the First World War for freedom of speech. My father was in the RAF throughout the Second World War fighting for freedom of speech and democracy, and now the Blair government has got me and Mark Collett in there for telling the truth. That's not democracy, it's not freedom of speech, it's a shocking waste of taxpayers' money.
What about the comment, Nick, about the Pope? Have you anything to say about that?
Yeah. Fundamentally, if the prosecution, if there's one set of words which I use that the prosecution are really angry about and the establishment is really angry about, it's when I said that Islam is a vicious, wicked faith. Since then, the Pope has come out and said that Islam is evil and inhuman. I said vicious and wicked, he said evil and inhuman. I reckon if I'm going to get 2 years, he should get 3 years for that.
Maybe if you said sorry, you'd get away with it.
But I'm not going to say sorry, because I'm not talking about Muslims. Muslims are the victims of their religion, particularly Muslim women. But I'm saying that that religion, if you read the Quran, if you look at the way it says treat unbelievers, if you look at the way it says treat women, if you look at the way it says treat animals, that religion is vicious and wicked, and I'm not going to apologise for saying so.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
What do you think's going on here today, Pope Benedict?
Well, it seems absolutely disgusting that someone in this so-called Great Britain can be charged with speaking the truth. Basically, it sounds like Nick Griffin said a very similar thing to what I said a few weeks ago. The only difference is I was made to apologise. Nick Griffin doesn't seem to want to apologise, and I don't think he's going to. He seems to have a very good strength of character. I don't think he will apologise.
I said that Nick Griffin has plenty of support here today.
He certainly has. He certainly has. He's certainly got a lot of support, and it's not surprising because I'm sure that the British people must have had enough by now of repressive anti-free speech laws.
Well, I seen you as you were coming down the stairs, Nick Griffin, you were throwing all the water at his feet. Is that?
Oh, of course. I was giving him my blessing because at the end of the day he's a very, very brave man to stand up to this corrupt government.
Is there anything else that you regret?
I don't. I shouldn't have said nothing about Islam. Sorry.